Hey guys, I'm Dave, and tonight I'm going to show you how to e-match fireworks. So we are just weeks away from the 4th of July, and this year is going to be my second annual Celebrate America Fireworks musical. Now I've done a total of maybe 5 or 6 fireworks shows just over the last couple of years, and a few years ago I switched over to an electronic firing system. I tried the Cobra system, not bad, didn't mind that. I ended up switching to Ignite, which I just found to be more intuitive and easier to use. And since I've been using the Ignite firing system, I've shot over 200 cues with 0 misfires or failure to fire using this electronic match system. So let me show you guys the materials that you're going to need in order to do this. Okay, so first and foremost, you need to have a firework product. In this case, this is Route 66. This is the Great American Fireworks Company. Really nice cake, 500 gram, 36 shots. You can see that on the side there. So this is the first cake that I'm going to e-match. You're also going to need a really sharp box cutter or razor blade. You also want to use a brass awl. Make sure that it's brass and not steel or any other type of material. The reason for that is the brass will not spark. So we're actually going to be sticking this into black powder, and you absolutely do not want to create a spark when you're doing that. You will end up setting off the entire firework product. In this case, in my garage, which would blow through the ceiling and things wouldn't be good. So make sure you have a brass awl, and I'll put a link in the description to this product. It's very cheap. You can get this on Amazon, and it works great. Hey guys, so I just want to put this disclaimer in here. I'm not responsible if you blow up your house e-matching fireworks. Okay? Make sure that you take proper precautions anytime that you're going to be working with pyrotechnics, fireworks, fuses, things like that. Make sure that you don't have anything in your workspace that could create a spark or you know, obviously don't smoke. That's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, keep all that, you know, sparks, ignition stuff, keep that away when you're working with fireworks. Make sure you're using a brass awl when you're poking the fireworks. You know, contrary to what you may think, this is kind of dangerous here because we're messing around with black powder, and you don't want these products going off in your garage, okay? There's people out there that play with fireworks in their garages and in their houses, and next thing you know, they're on the news because they blew up their house. So you need to make sure that you're taking precautions when you're doing that. So my workbench is all cleaned off. Now here in my garage, I do a lot of cutting and welding. I'm rebuilding a 70 Mustang back here, but all of that has been put on hold because we have a massive load of fireworks that are now here in the garage to get prepped for the 4th of July. So with all these in here, there's no grinding, there's no cutting, there's no welding. Basically, all of this is on hold until after the 4th. No big deal, because it's hotter than freaking Africa in this garage in Pennsylvania right now. It's like 90 degrees, so who wants to be doing cutting, grinding, and welding? But again, make sure you take precautions, guys. Don't set yourself on fire. Don't blow up your house. Take it easy with this stuff. If you don't know what you're doing, don't mess with it. That's my advice, my disclaimer. I'm not responsible for what y'all do after you watch this video. You also want to get some masking tape. You can also use duct tape. I've used that in the past. Duct tape is quite a bit stronger. Masking tape, this is a little bit faster, and this is also cheaper. And you're also going to need your electronic matches. Now, there's different types of electronic matches on the market. In this video, I'm going to be using the MJG Firewire Initiators. Again, over 200 fireworks products that I've shot using these wires and not a single failure. So these things are highly reliable, and they're much more accurate and much more reliable than using the clip-on igniters that you can purchase with the Ignite firing system. It's just a clip that clips on to a visco fuse. So basically it would clip onto the fuse of your product, and then once the Ignite module fires that cue, it would ignite the fuse. That system works. I haven't had any failures doing that, but if you're scripting your fireworks to music like I am, you're going to have a delay between the time the cue fires and the time the product actually starts. And how much of a delay really depends on the product itself. You really need to have experience shooting the particular product to know how long from the time the fuse is lit until the product starts going off. So it's pretty inaccurate as far as timing goes. But using these MJG fire wires, this is absolutely instantaneous. So when this cue fires, this product fires instantaneously. There is literally no delay. And that's why I've switched to these MJG firewire. Now, you also need to be using an electronic firing system. So in this video, the firing system that I use is called Ignite. It's actually made by Cobra firing systems. So some of you may be familiar with Cobra. That's the big brother to this. A lot of professionals use that. Great product, highly reliable. It's very expensive. Again, for me personally, I've just found that I like the Ignite system. It's much faster for me to work with. As a, I would consider myself a non-professional. I do shows in my backyard. So, I don't need a super expensive firing system. And Ignite is perfect for that. I have yet to have any issues with my show. Every cue has fired exactly as it's been scripted. And then I love the Ignite Show Designer, which I have up on the computer here. It's just so intuitive. It's so fast. I just drop my music in and start hitting my cues, and then synchronize it to the iPad, which is where I actually fire the show from. So that's the firing system that I'm using, and these are the MJG Firewire Initiators. Of course, I have the box upside down. So first, let's understand what E-matching actually is. So here we have a wire, and there's two ends to this wire. I'll zoom this in a little bit here for you guys. So this end of the wire here, which I'm trying to do this one-handed, you'll see that it has this red shroud, and you can actually slide this shroud back. Hold on, I need two hands to do this. And I'm just gonna do this so that you guys can see what's behind that shroud. And you see there's a little cap. I guess you could call it a blasting cap. But basically your two wires come together here, and then in the tip of this is an explosive charge. So when voltage is sent through this wire, and it's pretty low voltage, so we're only talking about 1 to 3 volts. When voltage is sent through this wire, this explosive material will go off, and we're gonna stick this end of this match directly into the lift charge of the very first shot in this cake, so that when this goes off, this cake will instantly start firing. So it'll fire the first shot, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like inside of this cake here. Always a good idea to inspect your products too before you put on a show for your friends and family and neighbors. Inspect your products, make sure that there isn't anything glaringly wrong inside of here, but I'll show you what that looks like. But basically, this E-match will set off the very first shot in this cake, and then the cake will go in sequence because it's internally fused. So this is the end that goes inside the cake, and it has this red shroud on it, which I'm gonna close back up. There's no need to expose this shroud when you're E-matching the cakes. In fact, you really should keep it covered like that. And when it goes off, it'll just blow straight out of there like a flame, and it ignites the cake. Now I've done that. I've fired one of these igniters not connected to any fireworks. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to see what this looked like, and it's pretty cool. It just shoots out a quick, very hot flame, and that's all you need to get your product going. Now on the other end of your igniter is the connector to plug the electronic match into your firing system. So Ignite uses quick plugs. So if you get these igniters, you need to select the quick plug option, which is like I think it's $1 extra per wire or per box. It's no big deal, but this uses quick plug connectors, which is compatible with the Ignite system. The other options for these wires are you can get them without a connector, so you would just have two exposed wires here if you're using a different type of firing system. Now with the quick plugs, you notice that there's a, I guess that's either copper or brass insert into the quick plug. So the reason that this is shunted like this is to prevent this charge from inadvertently firing. So I guess the theory is that you could have static electricity, could generate enough electrical current to send through the wire. So that's why these are shunted. And I leave them shunted until I'm ready to plug them into the firing system. So during the entire prep phase and setting the products up out in the field, these are shunted. And then once I have all the products laid out and I'm ready to connect them into the Ignite, obviously remove the shunt and then plug it into the Ignite system. The Ignite system doesn't have to be off or on when you're plugging it in. Ignite says that it's safe to plug this in while the system is on. I plug it in when it's off though. For me, there's no point in having the Ignite system turned on while I'm plugging these in. So it takes me a while to set everything up out in the field. So I don't want to kill my battery. So I leave these off, plug everything in, turn these on, fire up the app, and then it will do a continuity check for all of my cues. And then that's when I'll know if one of the wires isn't in there correctly. So this is what we're going to be using. And let's go ahead and get this Route 66 fired up for the show. Okay guys, so what I'm gonna do first is locate the fuse on the product. Now, I leave the fuses on here just in case, for some reason, if the E-match didn't work, I could hand light this cake at some point so it doesn't go to waste. But I'm gonna locate the fuse because this is where I'm going to cut the packaging out to access where the fuse is going into that first shot tube. So with some of the cakes, it's kind of tricky. You want to feel along with your finger and get an approximation of where that fuse is going in at. And then very carefully start to cut the packaging away. Now I try not to cut too deep. I just get some of the paper off of here first because I want this to be as minimally invasive as possible into the product. So, I mean, here you could just tear this out here at that point. All right, so I'll show you guys here. Now I've exposed where the fuse is going into the first shot in this cake. So this is where I am going to insert the MJG E-match. And I like to go as close to the fuse as possible. You could go maybe a little below, you could go off to the side. I just typically enlarge the hole that the fuse is going in and send my MJG right into that same hole. For whatever reason, I think that just guarantees that my igniter or my E-match is exactly where this fuse is blowing the lift charge. So here's the igniter. Now I'm going to take this brass awl and I'll hold it this way so you guys can see. And I'm putting it in just below the fuse. I'm going to push that in there. Now, you don't want to go all the way through, but I try to go at least the depth of that red shroud. And I'll work it just a little bit. Now I'll take the match, untangle it first. Now I'm going to stick that right in that hole, all the way in just like that. And you can see that that slid right in there, and it's basically going right next to that fuse. So when this igniter goes off, this first shot is going to go, and this cake is off to the races. So once I have that in there, and notice I did not pull back the red shroud. Keep that shroud on there. They recommend that you do that because that helps to ensure that that igniter shoots the proper explosive charge right into there. So next I'm going to take some masking tape, and I like to tape a little bit of the fuse, a little bit of the E-match like that. And I'm basically just taping this back up. Now I also cover the fuse. You might not have to do that. I just cover the fuse because I took it out of the protective foil that it was under. And so I want to cover this back up again so it doesn't inadvertently, you know, go off or something like that. And that's it. So the cake is taped up, it's E-matched, and I also leave this tied together until I'm setting up in the field. It just makes life easier. Another thing that I like to do is actually just take a small piece of tape and just tape this onto the product so that it's not flopping around. And then another thing that I usually do, I'm not going to do it right now because I haven't finalized the scripting of my show. But at this point, once the scripting is done, I will actually label this wire right near the quick plug. So I'll just put a piece of masking tape on there, and then I'll take a Sharpie and I'll write the Q number and the letter corresponding to the module color. So with the Ignite firing system, you can assign each module colors. So for example, 2 of my modules I have blue and red. So if this was Q number 3 on the blue module, I would put a B for blue, and then number 3 tells me that this goes in the 3rd Q slot on my module. So that way things don't get mixed up when you're out there in the field. So this product was pretty easy to do. I'll grab another one, and we'll do that one as well. All right, so here I've got a banger. This is the Showline SFX Showline. They have amazing products, by the way. SFX Showline Blue Mine to Sizzling Palm with red strobe. This cake fires in about 10 seconds. And it has 24 shots. So 24 shots, 10 seconds. This cake is really cool. So we're gonna E-match this one as well. So here's my fuse. I'm gonna find where that seems to be going in. We'll cut this back. Just be careful that you don't cut your fuse. So I take the paper off, and now we have the cardboard here. So a lot of times when you get to the cardboard, you don't even need the knife. You can just peel some of this away. And there we go. So I'm going to peel just a little bit more back and expose where the fuse is going into the lift charge on the first item. Do the same thing. I'm going to take my brass awl. I'm going to go right in the bottom of that, and I'm just going to widen up that hole that the fuse is going in. We'll take our E-match. Now sometimes it'll be a little tight fit. You could widen it out a little bit more. So that's probably far enough in there. I like to really get it in there till it's almost flush. That's just the OCD in me. I feel like it needs to be flush. That's just me. And then tape over that to hold it in there. Again, I'll just put a little strip holding that wire up there. And then we'll just tape this guy to the side, and then that's ready to go. Label the cue, obviously, and this one is all set. Now, what I had mentioned before, which was make sure you inspect your product to make sure that you don't have any glaring defects inside. So I'm going to do that with this one, just to show you guys. Now, normally I do this the day of the show. I will leave the top on until the day of the show, and then once I get these out in the field where I want them to go, then I will cut the tops off. And I cut the tops off for two reasons. One, inspect the product, and two, this throwing this in the garbage now is a lot less debris in your yard or field at your shoot site than if you left this on. So if you left this on during the show, obviously the product is just going to blow right through this. This in no way affects the performance of the shot, but you're going to get paper everywhere. It makes a huge mess. You're going to have a huge mess regardless, but that mess is substantially less with the tops removed. So once I have the top removed, I'll show you guys the inside there. And you can see we've got our shot tubes, and this one over here is actually the first shot. This is the one that I have E-matched into. Now you guys probably can't see on the camera there because of the lighting. Maybe I can lighten this up for you guys. I don't know, we'll see. And it's going to be hard to see, but down there in the bottom is the fuse, and that fuse is linking all of these together in order, and so the cake fires the way that it's designed. So one of the things I do is I just make sure that the tubes aren't loose, that the packing inside isn't loose, so you can give it a little shake, and that's pretty much it. If you can see the fusing in there, I'll inspect that, make sure it's not cut or pulled out of one of the tubes. This product, you can't really see the fuse. It's all below this, I don't even know what the heck this stuff is here, this blue and green shit, but you can't really see the fuses on it. So I'm actually gonna tape the top back on this because the show isn't for 2 weeks, and I don't want to have something inadvertently, get inside this cake and set it off. All right, so this one is good to go. All right, next I'm going to show you how to E-match a 1.4 Pro product. So these are a little bit different because 1.4 Pro is designed for professional shooters with electronic firing systems. Now, in order to purchase this, you're going to have to meet the requirements of whichever wholesaler or retailer you would be purchasing this from, and those requirements will vary between taking a fireworks safety course or shooter's course, or something like that. But regardless, if you satisfy the requirements, you can, as a consumer, purchase 1.4 professional products. Now this particular piece right here is Tannerite M25 Airburst. So this is basically salutes. This product is made by Tannerite. And this was purchased from American Wholesale Fireworks. Great place to do business with, as well as SFX Fireworks are two of my favorites. So I'll show you how to e-match this type of product. So with this 1.4 Pro, this one is a little more tricky, and it's a little more tricky in one sense, and you have to be super careful in another sense, and I'll show you why. So here I can feel the fuse is underneath of here, so I'm just going to make a very light incision. Again, I'm just cutting to remove the foil. Now in this product, you're going to notice that that green fuse is going to this red quick match. So quick match, this stuff would go up almost instantaneously. That's how fast this quick match burns. So you don't want to play around with that. But at the end of this quick match, they give you this little connector, which is pretty awesome. If you take this red cap off, your MJG e-match will actually slide right in there. And so now your igniter is connected to this quick match. And so when this goes off, that quick match is gonna burn in less than a second, and boom, this thing is going off. So they give you this plastic connector piece here, which is really cool because you don't even need tape. You could just figure eight your wire around it like that, and that's it. So then the only other thing to do, now I lay it down the side of the cake like this, as opposed to laying it across the top. I don't think that's a good idea. So I lay it down the side, and then I'm going to tape this all up. Now, instead of using masking tape for this one, I'm actually going to use duct tape, and I really prefer foil tape. You can purchase that at like Home Depot or something like that, but at the present moment, I'm all out. I didn't realize I was all out. So I don't have foil tape. That would be my preferred method for covering up this quick match. But I have masking tape, or I'm sorry, duct tape, which I think is a little better than using masking tape. And so I'm just gonna set that puppy right on there like that. Now that's basically just covering up the connector and that quick match. And then I'm gonna put another piece over the top here to just further secure that to the side. And then that's pretty much it. I will throw a piece of masking tape back over the top to cover up those tubes, because again, it's going to be 2 weeks before I fire, so I don't want to leave that exposed here in the garage for that period of time. And that is an example of one 1.4 product. All right, so the last thing that I'll show you guys how to e-match, this is a mine. Now this one is 20 millimeter. You can get these in all different sizes. I like the 20 millimeters. They're nice and small. And I still have to make a rack for this. I might make a video on doing that to hold these guys in place and actually have the ability to angle this. But this just shoots out a mine. Inside this tube you have black powder along with some stars, and notice there's no fuse. There's no fuse on this guy. So that's because we have a port on the bottom to put your e-match in. So if we remove that cap, which shouldn't be too difficult to pop off of there. If we remove that cap, you'll see inside there, maybe you can, maybe you can't. Let me get a flashlight, give you a better look. There you go. So that's what it looks like on the bottom, and that's perfect for sticking the MJG shroud directly in there. So I'll just take that, push that in as far as it'll go. And then there's a notch in the bottom here for the wire to sit in. And then at that point, we'll just put a piece of tape over this. And that guy is ready to go. So super easy on how to do that. And actually the last product I'll show you guys is how you can e-match a canister shell. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to e-match a canister shell. Now, I actually don't have any canister shells on hand, but I do have some comets, which are basically the same construction. This just shoots up a comet, doesn't have a a loud report at the top. But this is basically the same thing as a canister shell. So, just like with the other products, okay, the fuse comes all the way down and enters in the bottom of the product here. So, canister shells are the only product that I actually will completely remove the fuse on. Well, I mean, you could leave it in there if you wanted to. I just take it out. Anyway, so I'm going to poke right next to the fuse just like I did on all the other products. So you see how I'm doing that? I'm just going to poke right in there. We take our E-match, which I'm actually going to get a shorter one. Hold on. So these guys come in different lengths. This is a 10-footer. This other box here is 15-footers. I need the 15s for other things in the show. This one here can just get a 10-footer. It's not a big deal. So same thing. I'm just going to push that into the bottom of the canister shell and put a piece of tape on it. Now, like I said, I usually cut the fuse off. I'll just cut it flush because I don't need this. And if this doesn't go off, whatever, I'm just going to throw it in the garbage. But I've never had that problem, by the way. So the way I tape up the canister shells is I run the wire along the side of the shell. And I'll tape across the bottom like that. And then you could tape along here too if you wanted. Now, one reason to tape along the side, and the reason that I do that, is so that the wire does not interfere with dropping this into the mortar tube. So you want to make sure that when you're loading mortars that this goes all the way to the bottom. And by taping the wire along the side of the shell, for me, it just ensures that when I drop this in, that wire is not going to somehow prevent this from going to the bottom. And of course, you would unwrap this, plug it into your module, and bada boom. So I mentioned to you guys about using the show designer for Ignite, and I'll show you what that looks like here. It's very intuitive. So up here we have our script to the show. Over here we have our product, whatever, I guess this is our product count, and then here we have our queue. So the queue is actually going to correspond to the number of the slot that you're plugging that product into, and then the color, which I don't have any of these assigned yet. The color is going to be the color of the module that you have assigned. So this script that I have up here is for the show I'm doing July 6th. Let me show you guys my previous show. And you can see the difference here, right? Last year I had 32 cues. I've got 63 so far for this year. It's going to be nuts. This is going to be wild. Okay, but here is the show for Celebrate America 2023 here at my neighborhood. And this gives you a good example of what the script looks like. So here we have color blue and queue number 1. So that means blue module, queue number 1. Now, when the modules are turned on, this ignite thing here will light up the color of the module that you have it assigned to. So in this case, like this would be blue. So it's so intuitive. So when you're scripting the show, you know, you set everything in here, and then when it comes time to prep the show, it's so easy. You find the blue module, queue number 1, you're gonna plug the comments in there. So boom, comments, blue module, queue number 1. It's really hard to screw this up. Now you have the name of your product and then also the duration. So that's how long the product is. You wanna make sure this information is correct. Make sure that you get the accurate duration of your product. Now, some products will tell you the duration right on the side. Others won't. You might have to watch a video and try and figure out what the duration of the product is. A lot of 1.4 Pro products will tell you what the duration is, but you want to get the duration in here set. But basically, all of your scripting is done on the bottom here. So once you add your soundtrack, which is pretty easy if you, okay. I thought it was easy. Where do you change the audio? Let's see here. Okay, maybe right here. Okay, here you go, change audio file. So when you create a new show, it'll ask you to pick an audio file. The process is really intuitive, so just make sure you have your audio file on your device. And then once you add your audio, notice you get this timeline on the bottom here. So you can press play and it'll start playing your soundtrack. So in this case, I have the national anthem playing. You might not be able to hear that. But as you're going along, you click add timed event and it will create an event line here and then a corresponding slot up here in your script. So that's what that looks like there. These your shows also have codes, so you can share that code with someone else if you wanted to. Over here is the igniter pre-fire. So if you're using clip-on igniters or the Visco Fuse ones, you're going to need to set a pre-fire because it's not going to be instantaneous. If you're using MJG igniters, you can get away with no igniter pre-fire because it is instantaneous. So as your show is playing, I'll give you just an example here. As your show is playing, notice on the bottom here, it's playing. Once it gets to those cues, you'll see up here on the script. So bam, there's cue 1, 2, 3. Now this is instantaneous with MJG. So as soon as that lights up, that product is going. There's no delay. So if you're scripting to music, you can't beat MJG igniters. So this is where I'm at with my show for this year. So I basically have the show put together. I have not assigned cues or modules yet because a lot of that is based on the physical location of the product within the show. I'm shooting off quite a few mines this year and shooting mines together. So I'm going to have double mines and we're going to be using a lot of breakout boards. So I'm not exactly sure where this is all going to line up with the 3 modules that I have. So I have 2 I-18 modules and 1 I-36 module. So I have 72 possible cues and I've got 63 filled up so far. And a lot of these cues are using breakout boards. And let's see if I can find a breakout board for you guys and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so I used to use these boxes to put my Ignite modules in, for storage, and then also during the show, you could semi-close the lid to protect the module. But I recently came across these boxes by the Great Lakes, I think it's called Great Lakes Mortar Company. And I wanted to try these boxes out because they have slots here to where you can put the lid on. So you can have the lid on your box and then have the wires coming out there. And plus, these are a little bit smaller. I'm not 100% sure that I like these yet. I'll let you know after the fireworks show, but this is what I was using before. And here is a breakout board. So this has 5 cues in it. And basically what these breakout boards allow you to do is fire 5 products off of 1 cue. So if I plug this into cue number 1 and uses jumper wires here. Oh, I just dropped it. Okay, so it has a jumper wire here that goes into the module and then goes into the breakout board. But you guys get the gist of that. So I can plug this into cue number 1, and when cue number 1 goes, I can fire 5 products at once. So in this box, I have 5 breakout boards. I actually needed to order 10 more because of all the mines I'm using in the show and the need to shoot them at the same time. So, but those are the breakout boards. You can get them at the same Ignite website. And then here is the Ignite app. And as I was saying before, this is so intuitive. I'll just say no because I want to update it. Why does that say out of date? Because I didn't make any changes. I don't think I made any changes. Well, that's kind of scary. So I can select the show and I can choose prep show. And this would show me a list of the modules. Now, I'm not seeing modules there, but let me see if I pull up. So here's the show from last year. And when you go into prep show, this shows you what product is in each cue. So this here is the red, or no, I'm sorry, this is the blue module. So you see the blue. These are all the associated cues, and then over here is the red module. These are all the red cues. So this is really handy when you're setting up out in the field. If you didn't want to have a piece of paper with you to jot everything down, you could use the Ignite app, and this will show you exactly what has to get plugged into which module. So again, super intuitive, and come on, go away. All right, update the show. It really wants to update my show, so I'm gonna let it do that. Some events are missing the module color. So yeah, it's not happy because I don't have, again, I don't have colors assigned in here, so that's not too happy with me right now. But when you're ready to go, you just hit fire show, and it's gonna have your script all here. You can view it in a timeline like that. Of course, this is showing me that my modules are offline, so this would look a little bit differently when you're ready to fire because your modules are going to be turned on. So you'll have check marks down here. You can also come over here to list. I like to fire the show from here so I know which product is going off and what time it should be going off. And pretty cool. So that's just a brief overview of the Ignite app. And I hope you guys found this video useful. And stay at it, you pyromaniacs. We're the ones that are entertaining friends and family and neighbors this upcoming 4th of July. Hopefully you live in a state where it's legal to do that. If it is, man, get out there, put on a show for your friends and family. This is freedom at its best. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.